Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very exciting Adobe live stream today. I am joined with Sophia from Monograph&Co. And we're really excited to walk you guys through some really exciting projects today. But before we get started, I just want to say good morning, good evening for wherever you are all around the world. But if you haven't seen it yet, before the stream, Andrew Hockrattle was doing a brand new Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. Make sure you check it out at 11:30 a.m. PST. It's really exciting and good stuff in there. But Sophia, tell us a little bit about you, your business, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Alex. So hello, everyone. My name is Sophia. I own and operate an agency called Monograph&Co, and we do brand identities for people in the retail, hospitality, and beauty and fashion sectors. So you can go to online to monographandco.com and see a little bit about our work. As you can see here, we'll have a list of projects that we've worked on. So you can take a look at that at your leisure. And if you have a moment, you can also hop on to my Instagram account, which actually deals a lot with my personal art practice, which also integrates with the work that we do at Monograph. But it'll give you a couple of links to our studio pages and give you a bit more of a look at the work that we do. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and your Behance page is stellar as well. I know that your website is phenomenal, and I love those big header images that you've got on it. I personally have a very soft spot in my heart for hospitality, packaging, and retail. So I'm just super excited to kind of see where you go with your project today, but also just to see your work and get to kind of host you today. This is super exciting for me.
Thank you, Alex. And I just to say that you also have a stunning body of work. So yeah, right back at you.
Appreciate it. I see a bunch of old timers in chat today. I see Laura, Viola, Val, Vodka, everybody here. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We're excited to show you some stuff. So if you have questions along the way, make sure you give us a shout. If you are on YouTube, come on over to be.net/Adobe Live and hang out with us there and ask your questions so we can respond to them. With that, I will let you show the brief.
All right, so we're doing a brand identity for a fictional coffee bar today called 9 Bar. And I put this together just to run through really quickly because I think it's really important to have context. Before we start designing, we kind of have to know who we're designing for and why. So going on to who are we? So 9 Bar is a coffee bar that's built in a very historic landmark, and it serves coffee, tea, and supper for coffee-conscious customers in a curious environment with the emphasis on knowledge and sustainability and consumption. So they want to leave their customers feeling very curious and inspired with a new knowledge based in sustainability. And as for our goal, well, the coffee bar really wants to kind of bring back that authentic feeling of what it's like to be in a historic coffee bar. Usually a lot of these coffee bars were a sense of community where you'd go and talk to every people, kind of go through the community gossip in a fun and kind of lighthearted way. But it was a real beautiful hub of just sitting down and slowing down. Not really a place where one would bring their laptop to work, although that would be fine, but we're really encouraging sitting down and communicating and kind of being one with the community. So who are we for? The tone of voice is about being refined, curious, welcoming, authentic, high quality, rich in presentation, family, and a homage to the old original cafes. And so you can see that we have a long list, but I've highlighted the most important things that really stuck out for that. And if you look at our audience, you would see that they're the coffee connoisseur, creatives, entrepreneurs, food conscious, curious, and they're really interested in slow living. So they're not the typical that would say, I want to go get a grab and go and get to the office. No, you want to sit down and really enjoy what you're having. And so a part of the audience, what I included is a description of what we do at our studio. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you're welcome to come back to this or screenshot if you need to. For us, it's not enough to just have basic metrics based on gender or age and make assumptions. We really need to actually sit down and look at each individual as who they are, what their pain points are, what their lifestyle is, where they are in their life, their spending habits, and why they would want to come to a coffee shop like this, and how a coffee shop like this could actually help them along their journey. So this is an example of a customer profile that we would actually look at. And I wanted to include that in there because it gives people a little bit of a hidden insight as to what actually happens behind the scenes when we take on a brand identity project like this.
I love this. I think so many people skip the personas bits, and I often see a lot of designers start with like slide 7 and 8 that you put together, which is that list view, but they forget to unpack, that there's people behind that, and beyond just being coffee conscious, there's a person that lives and breathes a full life beyond that. And how does the brand kind of play with that and play up it? So I love that you included a persona in this. This is great.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. And I felt like, I was kind of debating, but I felt like, no, this is something that's very important for people to kind of see. So with that being said, we can kind of look at some really exciting images now. So what we like to do is we like to look at the interior and the actual experience of what it would feel like to go to this place. So here's some interior shots to take a look at. You can see some of the type formations already starting to come to play. It's already giving you a bit of a mood. You can see more type play, more color palettes as well. They're starting to kind of reveal. And we start to see a little bit of how this translates into some of the identity packages as well. And keep a close eye on the images because these color palettes are going to come into play when we actually start to work. Well, so we can see some patterning, some very distinct typographic treatments and type choices as well as combination of illustrations as well.
Yeah, you pulled such a great inspiration pieces together for this. I think you've really defined your aesthetic as kind of a contemporary spin on the old cafe or the old shop. And I love that kind of thing because I think it just gives you so much flexibility to put your own spin on it and make it feel unique while still captivating the same vibes and aesthetics. So very excited.
Absolutely. And so we'll see how a lot of these aesthetics and a lot of these little floral kind of vintage elements take shape as we build a logo. So we can go in now, and as you can see, I kind of prepared some things for us. So we have a lot of typefaces, a mixture of sans serifs and serifs. I like to combine typefaces. You can have a really rich, beautiful, unique kind of look when you do this. You have to be conscious of what you're pairing, but I think it can be done well. And then as you can see from the images, I created some palettes that later on, maybe the audience can come in and help me choose which one they feel really embodies what we talked about earlier. And I also have a lot of sketches. So these sketches will help us kind of give us a bit of a grounding anchor point as to how to formulate a lot of these badges, a lot of these logos. And I also put these two guys up here from their mood board. And I think they can be used as inspiration if we get a chance to actually play with a lot of these floral elements. Not a sense to copy, but as a bit of guide to see how we can arrange things with a similar pattern and to create something unique for ourselves. So with that being said, I already created 2. We're going to create a lot more, but I've created a few here as well. And before I do that, I just want to kind of show you, I have a few illustrative assets that you can download through many vector stock places. And so we have some floral elements here that we might be able to use. A few other elements here. A lot of floral patterning that we can play with. And some illustrations that have coffee elements in the mix. So I think that would be really, really cool. So I just want to kind of bring that up, that we have some assets to play with. So with that being said, I created something here already. As you can see, and we'll try to see if we can do some touch-ups to this and then go on and make some other stuff from scratch as well. As you can see, I'm playing with the mixture of typefaces that we have here in the corner. So I'll kind of be shifting back and forth to see what we can do there.
Awesome. This is super exciting. Did you get those those vector assets from Adobe Stock?
These didn't come exactly from Adobe Stock, but I have used Adobe Stock many times for many of my assets. It's a really great, wonderful resource as well.
Yeah, I love getting, especially these types of illustrations that are kind of that wood block aesthetic. There's so many in them, or so many on Adobe Stock that you can just quickly pull and import in and save to your libraries. So super exciting.
And just to let you know, all the typefaces that we will be using are from Adobe fonts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So one thing that's fairly interesting is, I think we were talking about this earlier, is that, you can have a definitive style, but when we get clients, they come with a whole slew of problems and a whole slew of ideas. So we're often building work right out of our comfort zone. So for me, badges and this type of vintage look isn't very intuitive for me. So there's a lot of a need to kind of play and experiment and mess up a lot. But that's what the process is about. It's not about perfection at this point. We can save some of that little bit of perfectionism when we get to a place where we feel like, yeah, we're closer to something, we can touch it up. But right now it's just about playing and seeing what structures and what typefaces you like the most.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you're pushing yourself and your go-to aesthetic and your kind of current comfort zone further with this project. And I think that's great. I think, anybody who's at home designing along real time, always encourage everybody to kind of push their own creative boundaries and try something new. And I think it's easy to kind of rest on our laurels or stay in our comfort zone. So creatively, I think this is good for everybody's soul. So encourage everybody to do that.
I live in Vancouver, Canada, so we'll use that as the hotspot. Any of these labels.
Love it. Vancouver's got a great coffee culture too.
Yeah, we do. We really do. A lot of beautiful places out here.
Yeah. And Angelica is asking, where did you get these assets from? Did you need to purchase a license, or did you just get them from a stock website?
So I downloaded these from a vector stock website, and depending on where you download them from, they'll have different types of licenses. So for example, I bought myself a premium monthly subscription license, which will allow me to use all the assets I showed you guys commercially. Now, luckily, this project is a personal project, so it's not a real project for us. So we're not going to be actually developing this, but it's good to make sure that we have everything covered so that you have the ability to use whatever you like freely and openly without having to worry about whether you have the right licensing. So you might want to make sure that you're doing that. But if it's for a personal project, just make sure you have the ability to use it for that nature. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Voodoo asked earlier, what's your kind of go-to place to get some project assets and things like that?
That's a good question. So, I mean, Adobe Stock, I think, is a great place, first and foremost. But otherwise than that, I'm someone who's really, I don't have like a specific thing in mind. What I'll do is I'll Google what I have in mind. Like if I need illustrations, if I need coffee illustrations, I'll Google that, then I'll find what I'm looking for. And again, kind of like what I said earlier, I'll just make sure that wherever I'm buying from is a legitimate place and that I have the licensing and the ability to use it. So I'm not just ripping something off the internet, because you want to be very careful of doing anything like that. So I don't have a specific place. They kind of come from all over the place, and it's hard because sometimes one place would be really great for, they might be really, really great for a specific type of illustration style. But if you're working on a project and you need something else, it might not fit. Also, our agency does work with a lot of talented photographers and artists. So we would rather just hire somebody to do the original illustrations, which would be better in every context, right? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. If the client budget allows it, I'm always down for that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Making sure that the client budget, that there's room for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think certain sites are better for certain aesthetics. Like I think for the coffee thing that you're doing right now, Creative Market can have some really good ones. But if you're doing something a little bit more on trend, I always like to go to youworkforthem.com because I think it has a really good up-to-date trend list almost. It's like you can always see kind of what some of the top projects on Behance are looking like, and you can kind of find some stock images or assets in there to kind of help you make some creative that is kind of up to that same caliber. So fun pro tip for anybody trying to build out their portfolio and get their Behance looking minty fresh.
Absolutely. You know, I just learned how to flip text like the other night. Like this.
Yeah.
Talk about being out of your comfort zone, eh? But you know what, that's what it's about. It's not about like being like, oh, I'm only going to take on projects that are that I'm familiar with, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to take on the stuff that's
flipping the type inside the path used to always just frustrate me to no end. It was always so difficult sometimes, and they keep changing it and adjusting it and making it better and better. So that's always fun, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Adobe team.
Well, I'm really excited about all the new stuff that's coming out with a lot of the applications. So, like the new stuff that was announced by Max, really cool. It's going to make life so much easier.
Absolutely. I always loved like certain updates that were just like key pivotal moments. I think for me, it was the rounded corners tool in Illustrator. I guess that's like maybe 6 years now, but it still sticks with me. And it's like, oh my gosh, that was the biggest time saver ever. Just small things like that you use every day that they just simplify for you.
Yeah, that you don't have to like kind of fiddle around with too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of coming together. I like this typeface, this kind of serif sans serif pairing. There's something about it that I really enjoy, but I don't know if Vancouver, Canada is necessary at this point. There's something that I feel like needs to fill the gap over here, but I'm not quite sure what that is.
You could flatten the and just make it an arch instead of like a pill. That way you don't have to fill the space. Does that make sense? Like the bottom curve that you have, if you just flatten that out.
Like this?
I meant like, yeah, if you just remove the roundedness of it.
Oh, okay.
On the bottom two corners.
So maybe if I just kind of, flattened it like this.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can just adjust so you know how you have the rounded corners of this rectangle? You could just click on those bottom two dots with your like direct selection tool, the A tool.
Oh yeah.
So hold on, go back. There you go. So you see that corner. So there's that rounded dot right above 9 bar.
Mm-hmm. This.
So if you pull that to the side, down to the right. There you go. Yeah. Keep going, all the way, square it, something like that. And then you do that to the other side and then pull it up. You might not have to worry about filling the whole thing.
And I just learned something new. Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. This is the rounded corner tool that I told you I love so much. So
there it is.
I'm so glad we could show everybody in chat. It's my favorite tool.
And you know what? That's also the benefit of not working alone. Mm-hmm. Honestly, for people who they're freelance or something like that, there's a benefit of not working from alone, because I would have done it the other way, which would have been like very tedious.
Yeah, the old way. That's the way we used to do it.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes I get so excited to just do the thing that I have in my mind that like I'll do it the old school way, even though there's a quicker way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not bad.
Yeah, I feel like that solves the problem you're looking for. But if you want more context or, more information there, you can always, duplicate it and try more things with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do that. Absolutely. But I actually quite like this one. And I do like the difference. There's something about pairing typefaces like this that just have a very striking combination
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
well.
Brittany Giles says, now it looks like one of the windows from your mood board, smiley face. Absolutely does, which is perfect. Like,
Yeah,
kind of bringing it all full circle.
yeah,
Val
absolutely.
says, I love it, all caps.
All right, awesome. Yeah, and I think that at this point, what we're in is that you just want to get whatever we have lingering around in our heads out. So I'm not too concerned about certain aspects. I just need to get it out. And then when we look at it as a whole, we can go, oh, this doesn't work, or this needs to be changed, which is fine. I'm not like digging this too much per se.
Yeah, it's busy with that illustration.
Yeah, maybe we'll try like these coffee beans here. This might be a little bit too generic in my opinion, but hey, you know what? It's an idea, and I need to get it out of my head and be like, this is what it is, so my brain doesn't keep going back to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keeping like, why don't you try that? Why don't you try that? So once you kind of lift those restrictions on yourself about either being perfect or trying to be something outside of the box, because with this retro style, I think that, of course, you want it to be very unique to the shop, but I think trying to create something that is completely outside of the realm won't fit, because you're not going to hit the mark. You're going to create something that doesn't resonate. You need something that is going to have that vibe. It's going to have that style, and that style and that vibe is going to have specific elements like these circles, like these types of illustrations that are going to kind of play homage to that. So that's okay. It's okay. I think to go in that route.
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm not really feeling it. Like I could put something in here, but I think we're going to leave that for now. Maybe we could create something brand new.
Cool.
Because I have another idea as well. So we'll just pop this guy over here. I like that illustration.
Yeah, I think the shape is really nice too. You can really put that. I'm even thinking like the sticker tape to close the coffee bag can kind of be one color block and fold it over, and then you got the logo in that space as well. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do with that.
Absolutely. So I'm just going over here and I'm choosing, I want to make something that's a little bit more stacked. That's the idea that I have in mind, something that's just a little bit more stacked. So I want all these typefaces here that you can see, they're very, Gothic, compressed. They're a bit more bold and linear. So this is kind of a representation of the time period. Also, a lot of these typefaces made up their appearance as well. So there's a significance in that. So I want to choose something that's a little bit more kind of condensed. So this is a nice condensed typeface, Balboa. So we'll try that. Maybe, yeah, this is the same typeface as well. Okay, all right, so let's try that. See how we can do that. So you can either, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say we can either play with 9-bar coffee, kind of like underneath each other, or the word 9-bar, and maybe condense one of them as well. We'll see how that goes.
Have you thought of doing, I know you're doing this retro thing, but kind of a contemporary take on it? I'm curious, have you thought about juxtaposing the old time feel with something a little bit modernist, like 9 literal bars for like the logo?
No, I didn't.
Or the Roman numeral?
No, but that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea. What is the normal Roman numeral for 9? Do you know?
It'd be
I don't know.
IX. Maybe that's not, I don't know.
It's worth playing with, I think. I think at this stage, I just want to play with a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And just play with a lot of things. There's no wrong answers at this point. It's just kind of like, you got to play with it. You don't know what's going to turn out, if it's going to turn out.
Exactly.
You just got to do a lot before you figure out. So it's a little bit. So maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll just do this as one.
Trying to think. Is there, maybe not. I love the typeface so much. And that was the first thing I was like, oh my gosh, it kind of looks like literal bars with just how geometric the in and the I's and the E's are. So I'm curious, like, if there was a way to somehow make the word 9 out of just 9 literal bars, but I think we're just a little bit over in terms of stroke counts. Maybe that's too lofty for an Adobe live stream, but
it might be
something to noodle on later on.
Yeah, you never know, Yeah, you never know. Let's see.
Chat, does anybody in chat know what is the term for the numbers that are bars and not Roman numerals, but the other ones? Like where you do like 4 lines and then 1 crossing it. What is that called? Like the undefeated logo almost.
Any takers?
I don't know. I'm Googling it. Let's see if chat will beat me to it. Tallies. Thank you, Udabel. You are a godsend. Tally marks.
That's new to me. I haven't actually experimented with that. But again, I think that's like, sketches here. But yeah, there's so many like, so I'm thinking about this one. Maybe we can do something.
Carol called it jail cell regular. That's hilarious because it looks like bars. It's so funny.
I had a question for the audience and I completely just forgot about it. That's what happens when you're trying to like, I guess, work on things and like think of this and think of something else at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happens.
Do you have any go-to typefaces that you just absolutely love and then you try to not use them, but you keep using them?
Yeah. I have some favorite type foundries that I actually really, really love.
Who are they?
So Klim Type Foundry is one of them.
Yeah.
And I really love, and I can't remember the other one, but it's a French one. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but those two have, I think, some of the best typefaces that I absolutely love. And I'm kind of half waiting for the right time to use them and it's appropriate. And the other part of me just feels like, don't keep going down that route,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like Klim is one of my favorite foundries, and I've used their work. They have different typefaces, of course, but I've used their work many times. Clients love it. It fits the context. It's just, you also want to like expand your horizons, right? Like buy from other foundries and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not digging it. Okay. Let me play with this one. It's a little bit linear, but it is kind of a representation, a representational of the time. So let's see. Grab this.
These ornate things are so hard for me sometimes because they're just so they're everywhere. They're just so busy sometimes, but they're very
Yeah.
cool if you can do them correctly.
It's tricky, and I think that especially for somebody like me who God, I feel like every client that we get, um, something about it pushes you out of your comfort zone. And I think that's the way it should be. Like, you shouldn't be, if the work is just like, oh, another one, I'm just gonna slap this on it, then something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like every project you should have in some degree, I think, should push you out of your comfort zone, to help you grow, but also to stay true to what the work is meant to be, because you don't want to kind of have a cookie cutter approach.
Carol asked, is this the place in Massachusetts? And she's redoing what they have. Nope, this is purely on her own personal project. But
this is, yeah.
Now that we know somebody might have this name, we should definitely redo their work for them.
Yeah, if they need it. Yeah. Absolutely. But does anybody in the chat know, and now I remember my question. Does anybody in the chat know what the word 9-bar actually means?
I know.
Okay.
I think I know. It's the bars of pressure you need to pull an espresso shot, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yes. Man, my time in San Francisco really has come full circle. It's really helped me with this question.
Yeah, no, that's exactly.
So do you have a great coffee machine?
I don't. You know, it's so strange. I've actually reduced my amount of coffee that I consume, just because I felt like it was making me feel like, oddly enough, it was actually making me feel a lot more tired than not tired. So now I kind of don't have it as much. I don't have it daily, but I will have it every now and then. And then when I do, I feel like it actually does. It actually does its job, which is making me feel more alert, more awake. But if I kind of go past that, then yeah, it actually doesn't really do its job very well for me. So yeah, there's that.
This is cool. I like this. I don't know what the correct term is for it. Well, the ornate decoration, I'm just going to call it, seems to counterbalance some of the more modern type that you have with it, which is cool.
Absolutely. And I think that, actually, let me go through my sketches. I probably hope this is not too annoying for people, but you need to kind of see what the heck I'm doing at some point. So I'm kind of going off this, as you can see, it didn't go according to what I planned, but that's what happens when you're doing sketches and stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want it to go, but you can make something new out of it. And that's okay.
Yeah, I agree. Just for anybody in chat that is curious, again, this is just purely fictional, just for funsies. But I love that Steve was like, there's a winery called 9 Barnyard Owls. So close, but a little bit more owl themed.
That's interesting.
Steve is our resident alcohol knowledge expert. He always seems to know all the things. He's our sommelier, if you will.
Nice. BC has a really good kind of wine, what do you call it? Wine atmosphere, I guess, in the Okanagan.
Oh yeah.
And out in the, away from the city.
The Okanagan's so pretty.
Oh, it is. It's really beautiful. It's really beautiful.
What up, Shauna? Welcome to the stream. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you come on over to Behance to type your chat so we can respond to you and answer any of your questions. And that link is be.net/Adobe Live. I look forward to seeing you in chat over here. So I know you're kind of balancing the coffee shop and grocer part. Is that something that you would want in your community is more of that, I guess, community first atmosphere?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of, when you go back to a lot of the historic places, they weren't just like coffee shops, but like you go there and get your groceries and you get like homemade food. I think a lot of those images came from a lot of the French and Italian cafes back in the day, where were really hubs of like people getting their coffee and talking about what's going on in the neighborhood and getting
Yeah.
your groceries and stuff like that. So they kind of want to bring back that feeling, and we kind of want to. It's not necessarily that you want to stop someone from like um, engaging in like the modern day activity, like working with a laptop, because you can't stop someone from doing that. But you want to just encourage them to kind of be like, well, this is a place where you kind of sit down, and through the atmosphere and through just the decor and the environment, hopefully it's a feeling of people feeling like, oh, this is a place where I come to relax and have good conversations and read a book maybe. And I'll save the working stuff for a different place or a different time. This is just my place where I go relax and the work doesn't come with me. And so the idea is to try to influence that. Now, you can't, like I said, you can't make somebody do that. But you can try your best to kind of influence the environment in a positive way, of course.
I agree. I've been watching a lot of city planning videos and a lot of architecture things lately, and so this feels very topical. Everybody's kind of figuring out, as we've been building cities, we've kind of been building them further and further out, but we need to start looking at bringing them in, and then how do we start planning these kind of communal spaces that allow the cities to kind of feel living and breathing. And some really interesting work in Australia has been done around building community complexes like this with like coffee shops at kind of the core, where people can kind of come in, relax, or grab a coffee on the way to work, but still it's very much the centerpiece of like the communities. They can
Absolutely.
gossip and talk and catch up and have little community vibes, which is great.
Absolutely. I wonder if anybody in the chat knows, or depending on where everyone's from, I think that non-alcoholic beverages are a real thing in Australia, right? Like it's starting to take off. It has been for a while.
I don't know. I don't know about Australia. I know that that's something that's just global now. It seems like that's become such a big industry that people are starting to focus on. And there's been some really cool design work in that space too.
Oh yeah, like I lived in Melbourne for a year, like a long time ago now, and it really had a big influence on my work and just like my frame of mind, I think, as well.
Yeah, the Australian design scene is just incredible, especially Melbourne. Like I remember seeing the Melbourne rebrand so many years ago, and just it's always stuck with me about how flexible and dynamic that brand identity system for a city was. Kind of just incredible.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Like I had a great time living there and working there as well.
Alind is asked, any recommendations on YouTube channels or courses for full brand identity design? Well, you are in the correct place. I think if you were just now tuning in, Alind, check out this stream, the recording when it's done being posted later on. You'll see like kind of how Sophia has built her brief, what the goal is, what the intention is, building a persona. And then now you're kind of getting to see real-time live designing, testing, playing around, seeing which things stick. And then we'll get some really good logos and, at the end of the day. And then tomorrow we'll see how she'll start building some collateral and some colorways and kind of bringing the brand to life a little bit more. So you get to see that real time. So stick around. Lots of really great content on this channel. Boom, nailed it.
Right on.
Viola says, I own and ran a coffee shop for 14 years in Brooklyn. This is so much fun to watch. Wow, that's crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's not easy being a small business owner, but I find it to be fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when, you get to build such a cornerstone of a community with these types of businesses. It's amazing.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of like this. I want something up here, but like maybe something small, to kind of, because the idea for this was to have something that was, compact, just to kind of touch on a lot of the things that we see from those old styles. Again, I'm combining typefaces. I like that. I like the look of combining typefaces. It's not necessary. You don't have to do that, but where it's applicable, I find it to be really cool. It plays visually with the eye from something that's very hard, something that's very light, and it can have a very classic feeling, but still maintain some of that modernness that we talked about as well. So super cool. Let's see if we can add something else to this. Maybe we'll add the same one. I don't know.
Viola says that running the coffee shop was stressful but fun. It was by design school, which got me interested in design, which is really cool. That's amazing.
That's cool. That's really cool. Also, I think that would be a really good location as well, because you kind of get that a bit of an influx on the design school kids as well, to kind of come in and experience the cafe.
Yeah.
Just want to see. And again, this whole part of the logo is just about our logo experimentation is just that, just experimenting. So I'm not looking for perfection, because if I was, then we'd be looking at me adjust one piece of type for like the whole thing, and it would be like really bad. Even if I wasn't doing this live, it would be really bad, because in a whole day's worth of work, I'd get like one thing done, which wouldn't be sufficient. So you kind of got to throw away the perfectionist, and that's hard. I think for some of us, it's hard for me too. I do have a sense of perfectionism in the things that I do, but I'm trying to let go of that as well. No, I don't like that. Nope, I don't like it.
Letting go is, I think, one of the hardest things, especially when you're starting off in your career, of just like understanding that, where you are in your career is totally fine, and you shouldn't be like looking at yourself compared to the chutzpah people or whatever, like there's a long journey ahead. And I think it's easy to get caught up, especially in the world of like dribbles and Behances, where you're comparing yourself constantly to people and teams that are much more experienced than you. So just enjoy where you are in the process and enjoy the creativity, and know that not everything that you're going to make is perfect. And just getting comfortable with that is, I think, first step in starting to get really good work out the door.
Absolutely. And I think that for me, along my journey, I mean, it's been about just trying to be better than I was yesterday, trying to be better than I was the last project, trying to learn more so I can offer my clients more.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's kind of how you have to play it, I feel like, because otherwise that you just get too trapped in a maze of like, there's always going to be people out there who could do a different job and like, do it differently, have a different idea. And if you sat here and compared yourself the whole time, you'd get nothing done. And you wouldn't grow either, because like you'd just be stuck in a maze,
Absolutely.
of things. Kind of like it's kind of coming through, kind of, right? Something's there, like sometimes you do something, like something is there. It's not quite there, but it's getting there. And then you like, again, like you just kind of like, okay, I kind of like that, leave it alone, go on to something else.
Yeah.
And then it's not like it's final, right? Like we'll refine this over the next day or so, but like just keep going.
Yeah, I agree. I almost feel like the direction you have right now without the arch on top of it
Looks
would
good.
just be good enough to go, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, you can absolutely continue to explore it, but I think.
Yeah. How about we just leave it there?
Yeah, I think just the rectangle, even just of the copy that you have, plus the
Yeah.
artisanal dry goods with the kind of filigree below it is a nice.
Yeah.
It's just solid. It's kind of, yeah, it's just solid. I think that's part of the. If you look back at your inspo, I
Mm,
think some of the pieces that you have, the type is just kind of
yeah.
like on the windows, especially.
Yep. Yeah. And like a lot of these things back here, as you can see, are just like really straightforward, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to another one. See what else we can do. You know what? I want
Ooh,
to
the
try
9. I like the 9.
this one right
Yeah, that
here.
one's just, I didn't even think about just putting a gigantic 9 in there.
Let's do it. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it. We have like you have a badge going on here, but like let's try to make another one. So let's choose a 9. Huh. I wonder if we do a not a sans serif, but like a serif 9. We can always switch it over, but we can see like which, or maybe this as a 9. We'll see. Okay. Oops. Okay. So I don't know about the people in the chat, but like I think like I said before, like making badges, although I feel like when I look at them, they feel like, oh, that's so like simple, like it's pretty straightforward. I don't think making them is very straightforward for me. Like these two took some time um, to kind of flush out in my head,
Yeah.
because sometimes when you look at things and they feel like they're so simple, it's not always that simple.
Yeah, I feel like with badges, I typically like to start from the bounding box shape and just like kind of placeholding copy and then finessing it from there rather than, I think it's easy to get lost in the sauce, but lost in the like the process of it, or it can be overwhelming when you look at all the elements and try to shove them together. I think just finding a great shape that you like and then starting to work around how the copy can fit in there and things like that might help as well.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that for me, I'm kind of in that process, but I also like I need to be able to see how things stack visually for me in order for me to understand like where it's going. And if I can't make that connection in my head, I get very frustrated. I'm
Totally
just like,
fair.
I'm just like, I don't know, it's not working.
Ryan has a good idea. Ryan says maybe a 9 could replace the first in some. Wow, words are so hard for me today. Maybe the 9 could replace the first in the word 9 some sort of way. That's what he said. But
That
maybe
is a
there's
good
like
idea.
a just removing even 9 out of it and just be the number 9
Yeah,
bar could also work. There's
yeah,
so many opportunities with what you've got here. So super exciting.
yeah. And we can play with that actually next once if we finish this badge, right? If we don't get super frustrated off this, okay, that's 9 bar. So for this, we'll keep the word 9, the word 9 in here. It is, yeah. Let's play with that for a bit. I was thinking about something else.
You could almost even just duplicate what you've done above with the coffee
Yeah,
beans and just replace the coffee beans.
yeah. You know what? You're right. You're thinking ahead. Let's do that. And I'm actually wondering, maybe we can actually, hold on a second. Maybe we can play with the type as well and just see a different face.
Yeah, that could work.
I like to do that too, because sometimes when you change the typeface, it radically changes the way something feels.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Samantha in chat. What up, Samantha? How you doing? Britt says, Alex, similar to your 9 bars. Ooh, let's see what this has got.
Minion 3 display.
Oh yeah, Britt, that's pretty much what I was thinking. Something like that was cool. So when you're trying to build, I know you were pairing the typefaces earlier. What do you look for when you're trying to pair a serif and a sans serif together?
Gosh, okay, that's a little bit difficult for me to answer cohesively, but I'll try my best. Um, it's very intuitive for me. So
Mhm.
like I'm looking at the contrast between something that's heavier and something that's lighter. I'm also kind of looking at the historical elements of like what we're building, and what kind of fits with that, because there's some serifs and sans serifs that just won't. Like a lot of the sans serifs that I chose are very bold, condensed Gothic, the Gothic, which is very reminiscent of their time, of the
Mhm.
time. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. But there are websites out there, and I think that even when you go to Adobe fonts, they have pairings as well.
Yeah, I
So
do. Mhm.
like you can start to study typefaces and also kind of build up your own intuition of things that you like, and then kind of just sit there and study them and ask yourself why you like them. Why do you feel those pairings work well with each other? Um, and I think that you can learn a lot about that as well. So I hope that was a bit comprehensive in
Yeah,
response.
that's fair. It's always great to hear people's opinions on how they build structure in these things and how they build hierarchy and how they pair them. So it's always great. Um, I know that there's always like that rule that people have been hearing forever. It's like don't do more than three typefaces or weights and things like that in a project. But there's a really great talk from Bethany Heck around typefaces, and she's really well known for pairing like 7, 8 typefaces in a project together. So it's
Yeah,
super fun. But I think the core of it, from my understanding, is pairing it with certain characteristics that the typeface has, but not necessarily competing. So maybe there's a interesting ligature or a crossbar or counter spacing, the like, which is the negative space in like an O or something like that.
yeah,
Those types of things can pair well with each other or complement them. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely. For me, I know that when I start to get to like three, I have to be wary of what I'm doing. But I wouldn't look at it and say that it's impossible. I just feel like type is something that you really have to take your time to learn and comprehend and apply. And so it depending on where you are in your journey with design. Sometimes a good rule would be to be just keep it to 1 to 2.
yeah,
And but as you grow, as you learn more, as you study more, you do more stuff, you can start to experiment,
I
and
agree.
have fun with it. I like to pair. I don't pair all the time, but I do. And when I do, I find that the results are even better than just like having 1 or 2, especially in contexts like this. I think like we compare something, really have a good time with it.
The bullet points on there feel like a period almost though. It's the
Oh yeah,
one on the next to grocer, it feels like a period. Maybe it needs to go up a little bit more.
yeah. Um, Maybe for this, how about we just like
Delete
get
them.
rid of
Yeah,
it
that works.
for now? Um, I use those from the glyph palette,
Ah, nice.
so um, maybe we'll put them back in. Maybe we'll put like an ornamental piece. Maybe we'll just leave it out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Who are your design, like who inspires you in the, like it could be, I guess, design or non-design. What kind of businesses or people that you kind of look up to for creative inspiration?
Um, so my major creative inspiration is Christo in the future. Who knows? Who knows about that channel? in the in the comments, or in the chat. But yeah, I think that he would be a total inspiration from a business and creative standpoint. But for me, when I'm looking at clients that we want to work with, I think that what really motivates me, for example, like this project that we're doing now, is when you have the ability to transform a space and a place through the design and the environment, and to really kind of set the tone of what people can expect. So the work kind of lives beyond just like the digital or even like the physical printed, but like you can walk into a place and feel the difference. Working with architects and working with interior designers to help bring that to life, for me, super exciting. Oh man, that's what I love. Yeah. Hope that answered that question. Yeah.
No, it's great. I think architecture firms do a really good job of it, or some architecture firms do. There's one in SF called Wrapped, and I think they have offices in LA and New York. But from my understanding, they have structured their design teams where you have one architect, one graphic designer, and like one interior designer working together with a project manager to deliver for clients. So you really get the different crossovers from different disciplines, but you also get that kind of immersion of everybody being aligned around the brief and solving the client problems. So that's super exciting stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a model that we kind of want to do too. Like my amazing, talented creative partners who do like floral design, and they also do product photography and styling as well. So I'm really grateful to work with them on specific projects. And it's like they're kind of, even though we're separate, they're kind of in a way like in-house, quote unquote, as in like we all work together to just have a really strong output on the work that we do. It's kind of interesting. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we just actually
you might be able to just go kind of just pump up the jams on it completely, like getting maybe the 9-bar coffee and grocer just as one gigantic circle around the 9. I don't know. Maybe that's an option later on. But
yeah.
I mean, I think what you had there is a good option, but we could just duplicate it, I think.
Duplicate it in front of
them.
Yeah,
pixels absolutely. Are free, so might as well not destroy all the great work you have been working on.
Yeah. You know what? Somebody in the chat said 9-bar, right?
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can try that.
That's a good idea.
It's not bad.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that gives you kind of a horizontal kind of reference as well for the establishment, their established dates and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to try one more thing real quick, and then we can duplicate this and try that other idea that you were talking about as well. And you know what? I want to try something floral, but
oh yeah, that's a great idea.
I don't know. Maybe that would be like a little bit of a day too, only because it's a little bit risky in the sense that like I don't want everybody to sit here and watch me arrange like a little leaf for like 30 minutes. Like it can get really intense. I think when you're doing like floral stuff, super worth it, by the way, but not the best content when like you have a live show, I think, and people are like, we want to see you do design. You've been arranging a leaf for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right. But if I do come up with something, I'll be sure that I come back and I show you guys exactly what I did. So you are armed with all the knowledge you need to know how it happened.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to leave that as that. Just want to make sure that this is the right. Yeah. Just want to make sure that that was not like a third typeface. Okay. I have another one. And then we'll grab something else from the sketch and see if we can do more.
Great. And Alan has a question that says, I have a question for Sophia. Does she do all the services that are available at Monograph&Co, or does she have a team too?
Good question. So I still handle a lot of the work that comes in to the studio, but I do hire contractors and freelancers as well. So for example, if this was a real thing and this was in studio, I would hire people as a team to do exactly what I'm doing now and help me create the work so that we can keep projects moving. Because as I'm sure everyone can understand, like taking on a big project by yourself can burn a lot of energy. So I hope that answered that question. Yeah.
Nice. Is this the jams pumped version?
Yeah. So do you want to like pump up the jam with the same thing, or like 9-bar?
I would probably remove that inner circle and just like get 9-bar coffee and grocer just
over and over. Yeah.
Huge. No, just one gigantic loop. Like,
oh, okay. So not like
crazy.
repeating it.
Nope, just one big old loop.
Ooh, oh, I get. Oh, okay.
Whoop. Yeah. And then the 9 can go inside of that
little thing here.
No, the 9 could go
here.
in that area. Mm-hmm.
And then we can remove this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I think for this, I would love something that is linear in type. I think, right? Because it'll have more of a visual kind of way of kind of leading the eye, where the other typefaces have some ascenders and descenders that may not be the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about this one? Headline Gothic.
That could be cool.
Let's try that one. It's a little bit distressed. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it really all comes down to like, what are you looking for in terms of vibe? Because there's kind of a nice elegance with the sans serif, or sorry, with the serif there, and how bold it is with just by being so overt. And then with this, there's also kind of that stampy vibe with it, and kind of same execution, 2 different typefaces have very different feels, which is quite interesting.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. I wonder if, I mean, like this takes on a very different feeling. And if we change it to rough, you know.
There's a very stampy.
Very stampy indeed. And, you know, this can be,
nice.
And it can be like an alternate logo. Like you said, like for wrappers and stuff, like sandwich wrappers and things like that. Like that can totally be something that you can put on a bag or something, you know?
Absolutely agreed. Yeah, and that's kind of the nice thing of where we are currently in the brand sphere is, you know, now that everything has to live on so many different channels and so many different platforms.
Yeah.
It's okay to, you know, have multiple different kind of logos or have a responsive branding system that allows you to have this flexibility. You don't have to just have that one traditional logo for everything anymore.
Absolutely. This gives me ideas too. Good call on that.
Thanks,
Alex. Yeah. Well, I think it's really good, again, like to have like other eyes. Like that's why I think it's so invaluable to work with a team or hire freelancers, is because like for me, I can only see what I'm thinking, but I can't really think outside of that box because I'm too busy making stuff. So when you have somebody else kind of working on things, you can actually kind of go in and be like, oh, you know what? Do this, try that.
Yeah.
I would have probably never would have thought of pumping it up like that because I just never thought about it. Just think about something else, right?
Absolutely. That's why I always love these Adobe live streams, because chat has saved me so many times and always been super helpful. And I love just getting that feedback from them.
Yeah, I'm really glad that everybody's liking the coffee kind of vibe. I feel like, I don't know, when I was, even now as a professional, I feel like I could still go for like a really good take on someone else's view on branding, a actual physical place that lives, just feels different.
Yeah, I agree.
We could do something in the circle. We don't have to do something in the circle. I just want to play with it and see.
Almost kind of that, I don't know what it is with that. That typeface specifically feels like it's a 6. I think the way that 9 is balanced is optically incorrect, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, you know what? I think I'm going to leave it as is.
Cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about something in there, but maybe just leave it as it is, you know? Maybe something in there would just be too much.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'd probably put in there if I had to would be a coffee bean that matched the same stamped aesthetic of that typeface, like which would just take way too much time on the stream to do, to get it like to feel the same kind of way. But even then, maybe it's not even necessary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like if for example, if we did these two, for example, like you could see this like on a window and then maybe this being a stamp. Of course, we'd have to change this typeface to match this, but it's doable. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's doable. Okay.
What's next?
Let's do another one.
Yeah. Love it.
Another one.
Like DJ Khaled in here. Another one.
Let's do something simple. So like I've seen a lot of this happening with like these
cool. Yeah, the like the rhombus shape with the
It's super simple, but like it takes you back to a specific time. And I think I have one. Oh yeah, of course I have one. You can make this with like the shape tool, but I have some shapes pre-ready just so again, so we're not like watching me make a shape for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Again, I just want to try as much as I can to get as many ideas as I can out, many different styles, because you can see here like there are similarities, but there are also different styles happening. And so we can kind of figure out which style we feel is more apparent, and we can take care of a lot of that on our day 2 where we're not doing anything. So we're kind of picking and choosing and then applying. Usually when we have a project like this, we'll present the client with 2 to 3 concepts on what we're feeling.
So you do have a full 3 concept pitch. Do you build out collateral and pieces for them as well?
Yeah, so we do like a few collateral pieces just so they have an idea, because the client needs to see this work in context, because they need to understand how it's going to fit in their shop and what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like. So that's super important. So we do that. And then yeah, we just we kind of let them, each concept is similar to one another. So we're not like going drastically out. So it's like, it's not so much that it matters which one they choose, as it, you know, it won't be too much of a vast contrast, but it's giving them a bit of an idea of many different ways to take something.
Yeah,
as well.
So you do that for each direction, correct?
Yes, we have one direction, but from that one direction, we can derive 3 concepts, 3 different ways of doing it. And so that allows the client to kind of have an idea of what to expect, you know, what it's going to look like, and it gives you as the design team an ability to really kind of narrow down. But it opens up the ability to kind of push yourself as well, because sometimes you can get to a point where you're like, oh, I really like this idea. That's the idea. But if you have to push yourself to find something, 2 other things, kind of pushes you, right? Kind of pushes you to do something.
Absolutely. Do you ever have clients that prefer more or less concepts, or they're all pretty much the 2 to 3 concepts?
Yeah, they're all pretty much 2 to 3. I never had a client not wanting, like clients rarely ever say that they don't want you to do like more work on the stuff. It's up to you to gauge the project correctly, depending on what is needed. So maybe 2 to 3 concepts isn't needed if you're just doing something that requires something very simple. But yeah, 2 to 3 concepts, because they're so similar to each other. They're not like outside of the box totally, where the client feels so confused and they don't know what to choose. They all have their differences, but they also have their similarities. So regardless of what they choose, or what they feel that they gravitate towards, it's not going to mess things up too much, because you have an initial direction really hammered down. And for us, that would be what we talked about in the style deck. Right. So I'm not going to do this and then do like a super modern, sleek, you know, cafe, because it wouldn't make any sense. Right. So that's how I handle it. Yeah.
That's fair. I have stopped giving 2 to 3 concepts for a
Really?
long
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even, just agencies that I worked with in the past, everybody already knows that one concept is the strongest.
Mm.
So we just kind of stopped doing that because it was just extra busy work that didn't move the project forward. And I'd rather just build out the more collateral to really help sell the vision than to spend time mocking up more things that nobody is actually excited about on our team. So
Yeah. I have friends who totally abide by the one concept rule. And their take on it is very legitimate. For me, I tried that and projects were successful with it. Just exactly like you said, you really focus on what needs to be done. But then there were projects that I've had where I did 2 to 3, and I was really glad that I did, because even though the initial concept worked, what we came up with afterwards was far better. So I always tell people, like, do what you feel is right for you. At the end of the day, like, make sure that it solves the problem and that the work is good. And you do what needs to be done, for sure. But for me, I find that, especially when doing like interiors, cafes, things like that, sometimes it's just a need to just kind of push it a little further and give a little bit more options. But like you said, your explanation was 100% valid as well.
it's really up to, like you said, the person, the type of work that they like to do, how big the team is, all those types of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I have resources on my team that we can really focus, or the client budget allows for multiple designers to help support, can absolutely do multiple concepts and pitch them to the client. But it really depends.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe further down the line, we will choose to just do one concept. But for now, that's the feeling that I find to be more sufficient. But I mean, the good thing is that we kind of change how we work to better the client's needs, right?
Yeah.
Cut out fluff that you don't need. So as long as the work still bears the same impact, I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We have about 40 minutes left.
Okay. Bang this out, and then we'll bang maybe something else out, and then we will see. And maybe for our day 2, I'll come back with something maybe a little floral, and then we can do a quick deconstruct of what that would look like, and then see how it's going to work out. But in the meantime, maybe it's a little too early for this, but these color palettes that I have that we saw back, back when we kind of did that look. I don't know. Does anybody gravitate to either one? I mean, there's some palettes here that I really like. So each of these are one, by the way, the reds, the blues, the greens. So anybody feeling anything in particular?
Oh man. Because I've been on such an architecture and interior design kick lately, I really like that red, especially if you put it with like a nice like terrazzo floor.
Yeah.
I could see that being used on like furniture, and then the walls could be that like more beige red, and then like a really great red curtain, and then maybe even throw in the blue. It's great. Your color palette's awesome. It's fantastic. Yeah, Ryan says deep red.
Deep red. Okay.
Like my question mark that I added there. Deep red.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh man, Nick Longo's favorite tool right here, the warp tool.
The warp tool, yeah. Actually, you know what? I just realized I better get my actual text in here first.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, because I realized after warps, I don't think we can. 2 hours goes by really quick, hey, when you're designing things.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. So funny. Voodoo Val says that this is not the first time that she's heard Alex suggest a terrazzo floor style. I I can't believe I've said that before on here, and that's amazing. I'm pretty late to the terrazzo floor game. I feel like everybody's been loving it for a lot longer than I have, but now I'm fully sold. So that's hilarious. If you are on YouTube and you're wondering where all this great chat and commentary is coming from, it's because we're over on Behance. So make sure that you come on over to Behance and hang out with us and chat. You can do that through be.net/Adobe Live. So come on over, hang out with us.
Mm-hmm.
Vudaval says, Carol asks, well, Carol doesn't know about terrazzo. So terrazzo is a style. It's actually like, it's kind of like concrete. It's essentially a bunch of like polished stones being pushed into the floor. And then they do like a finishing stone sanding or something like that. And then they glaze it. So it's like a shiny, almost looks like concrete, but it's got like stone chips and glass pieces in it. It's got a really great color palette. You can change it to be whatever vibes and color aesthetics you need. It's kind of retro, but it's modern chic now. Everybody's doing it. So yeah, that's what it is.
Interesting.
Worst explanation of it probably ever. Sorry. But should be good enough to get you started on the terrazzo journey.
I'm already on that journey.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Vudaval asks, where's your go-to place for finding fonts?
You know, I don't know if I have a go-to place. Sometimes when I'm on Instagram, I'll find type foundries on there, or like through those like curated design profiles. I usually find them through there, and that's how I figure out like which foundry I enjoy the most. Adobe fonts is something that I also gravitate towards as well. Especially like when a project like this, for example, everything you see here is done with Adobe fonts, which is super great because they have a really great selection. But that's how I usually find the typefaces, and I'm usually just looking for specimens that I find to be really interesting that I can save for later, that I know that will be useful for a project down the line. So yeah, I hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, I think it does. Val also has included a link in Behance chat that shows a terrazzo texture, which is the rocks and stuff that I was talking about.
Is that okay? So I was half paying attention to what you said
It's
when
okay.
I was trying to do something. But is that like something that's very familiar with those old style cafes, like the Italian cafes and stuff, or is that just something different?
I think that it's kind of becoming a thing again. Like I think it was it's kind of gone in ebbs and flows. I think this is my very mild interior design knowledge, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But essentially, I think of like high school floors have it. Like I think so, like 80s, 90s had a bunch of it. Maybe some 50s. Like I think a lot of people that are restoring mid-century modern houses have it, because it's such a great way of bringing like an additional color palette to your floors that's not just like a hardwood or concrete. So people like to do it instead of tile and things like that. Still very similar texture in terms of like foot feel. It's like just as cold as concrete and things like that.
Right. That's interesting. I have to look it up. Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen it a lot, but like I can't think of it.
Yeah. Once you see it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's what that's called. I can't believe it. Because you'll see it in like everywhere. You'll see it in hotels, you'll see it in bars, all that good stuff. It's supposedly have like the longest wear patterns, like carpet and things obviously get treaded on. Wood, goes bad if you don't maintain it. But just like concrete, this stuff lasts like I think 70 years or something without needing to be like updated. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Random facts with Laz.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going rabbit hole, but I'm going to just continue this real quick. Voodoo Val says some history on terrazzo. Terrazzo has an interesting history with the roots all over the globe, going back more than 500 years to Italy, where marble was the main material of choice. Venetian workers would use scrap marble fragments and that they saved from their upscale projects, placing them next to each other in a clay mortar base for their own residences and terraces. Wow. I feel so learned. So,
Really
came
cool.
from scraps. There we go. So when you're going through this, do you have a kind of, I don't know, that was a bad question. I'm forgetting what the end goal was. So sorry.
It's okay.
Are you thinking about placing ornaments in this, or are you thinking the type and the shape will be enough?
I do not know. There might be an ornament, one or two. I want to make sure that, like, if we're doing a logo, it needs to, you want it to communicate one or two things. Now, I'm pretty sure maybe you've heard this definition, but like a logo is meant to identify, not explain. So you don't have to like explain exactly what everything does and everything is and what it's supposed to do and how you're supposed to feel, and like with one icon. But I do want to have certain pieces of language. So I do want some type in there, but with that being said, like, yeah, like you said, I can add an ornament or something. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that now. Grab something. I don't think I'm going to do like an illustration or anything, because that would like make it into something else. But
correct.
I'll do that.
Val has asked, what sort of things would you keep in mind when you're working on this project? So like, what are the like kind of important key pieces as you work on like badges or logos or anything for a client like this?
It's a good question. I'm totally drawing a blank. That's a really good question. But I think for me, you kind of want to keep in mind the tone and the mood that you're going for and the general structure of what you're trying to achieve. So I think that's first and foremost, and just understanding kind of like what I said before, like understanding that a logo is supposed to identify. So would this be a good identifier for the company? Would this be a good identifier? You don't want to explain. So sometimes I think people can get lost in the overextended meaning of what something's supposed to get, assuming that the person sees it, supposed to understand, and they don't, right? Not all the time. So kind of want to make it just to the point, something that's easily memorable and something that can scale well. So depending on where this is going to go, keeping those things in mind, like where is it going to be seen? So kind of like when we go back to here and see like, oh, like this can be like a secondary logo, and something like the one above can be like, the first. Knowing that this would be seen like on packaging or as a stamp could be very interesting, but this would be the main icon, the main logo mark that people would see. So just things like that, I think, would be something I would think about. For sure.
So as you're working through this logo, is there anything that you feel like you're just not getting out of it? Because I think I could see your wheels turning, and I want you to just kind of unpack that a little bit. What are you trying to get out of it that you're not getting?
Cohesiveness, and it's not really well. Maybe it's maybe it's like this, right? But there's something that wasn't aligning visually. for me. And so a part of me, the thing is that with this, I didn't dislike it. So sometimes you see an element and you're like, I don't dislike that, but like for some reason it's just not working. And so when I felt like I pulled it aside, I felt like whatever this was working.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't need that. And maybe, to play to your point and to go back to one of the elements that we used earlier, we can just have like a line that says established 2021. And I think that's something that we see a lot of in a lot of these vintage, the EST 2020 or whatever the date would be. So we can try something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah, if you even just duplicated the artisanal dry goods and pulled it above and said established 2021,
Yeah, that could work too.
That will reinforce the diamond shape really nicely as well.
Yeah, so you can see the 2021 is pretty small. So let's see what we can do in the glyph palette to change that, right? Because we want it to match up.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can do that really quickly and see if we have something. Maybe we don't. And if not, maybe we'll change the typeface.
It might just be even lowercasing the EST might give it a little bit more, because it's kind of like not really that important. Like it is important, but I feel like it's fine if you just do EST with maybe a dot or something to.
Yeah, like maybe on either side or like underneath or like on top or something.
No, I meant like a period, just so everybody knows that it's like the EST gets abbreviated, so you get the dot there. Yeah, maybe that needs the capital E, maybe, since everything else is getting capital cased. Yeah, it's tough. I hate when numbers are so small compared to the other ones.
Yeah,
it's never fun.
Again, I think that's like, you know, when you choose a typeface, sometimes you choose a typeface, right? And you're like, oh, I think this is great, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work. Like I remember we were doing cookbooks because we also do publication design, and the typeface that we wanted to use didn't have fractions. So, you know, when you're like half a cup of whatever, they didn't have that. So we had to kind of like choose a different face, which is okay because you can find something that's similar. You know, we have a bunch of sans serifs here.
You also might just be able to do just established 2021, just fully typed out, and that might give you, you know, enough space where the E doesn't feel so close to the 2021, so you don't look at it directly.
Yeah, okay, we can try that as well.
And then it'll also be a little bit wider, so then it might feel, what's it called? That shape might be reinforced even more.
Yeah, let's try that. So
yeah,
spell it right?
Yep.
2021. Or maybe that gave me an idea. Maybe, yeah, you know what? That's not too bad, right?
Yeah.
I could go something like this. I was thinking that we could do something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's too bad at all, actually. Let's get rid of that. Yeah. And then I think that, you know, maybe we'll just leave that for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that feels a lot more balanced than trying to put the arch in there just for right now. But I think it's only because we have that bounding box. I think if you wanted to get that arch in there, maybe we need to just reinforce it with a different shape, kind of like what you did above it, where, you know, you've got the bounding boxes also helping reinforce and compartmentalize the actual work that you've already done around that. Absolutely.
Maybe we could kind of do something like this too. You know, that kind of gives it a little bit of a something. Because back in the day, like, this was a common sort of aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to save that out pretty quick, and then maybe we can do one more and see how that goes.
Cool. Love it. Yeah, we've got about like less than 30 minutes about. So we're on good time, 25 minutes really.
Okay, perfect.
Val says, ooh, I love that double diamond.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I feel like there's so many ways we can do something and so many ways. Maybe we can try this here, or maybe.
Lydia had a good idea as well, where you just increase the size of the 2021 if you needed to, but you can do that later on.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea.
Maybe we'll try this, and maybe we'll try a little bit of this too. If we bang this one out,
cool.
Simply, we can grab another one. But I think it's a fair one. It's pretty simple, straightforward, but we can like tweak it and have a little bit of fun with it as well. And maybe we can do this guy, right? Something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I'm curious, does anybody like have any songs that they actually listen to in the background when they're working?
That's a great question. What do you listen to? And chat, we want to know what you listen to in the background as well.
Okay, so very oddly enough, I find that like when I'm working on something like this or something that takes a lot of like mental space, it's hard for me to listen to music of any kind. So I'll put on like some old school Harry Potter, like in the background, and like just something that I've already seen. So I'm not trying to follow a plot. So like whatever's happening with Voldemort will be happening in the background and I'll just be working. I just need some sort of dialogue or something.
Interesting. So no audiobook, you're talking about like the video, the movie, correct?
Yeah, like an actual movie.
So funny. That's awesome. I am the opposite. I cannot have dialogue or I start typing it or doing it. Like, yeah, if I'm oftentimes I'll do some like chill hop or something like that. It's like just ambient almost. Depends on like what mood or what work zone I'm in. But yeah, if I need to pump out stuff, obviously it's gonna be like more up tempo or something like that. But
that's interesting. Yeah, like for me, for some reason, like especially recently, it's been like super distracting for me to listen to anything. Because my mind will just get really distracted. So I'll just play like a movie that I've seen like a million times, and like leave that running in the background, and I'll get so much work done. It's insane.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's awesome. Yeah, Voodoo Val says I listen to audiobooks all the time, but I recently remembered how much I like the Black Keys. So I've been listening to Sister on repeat. Nice. Shauna says listen to music without lyrics unless it's Xmas or playing Netflix shows I've seen over, so it's just noise. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people are kind of the same wheelhouse. But audiobooks for me, Jack says Adobe Live in the background all day. But audiobooks for me always, if I'm typing to a client or typing to a team or in Slack or whatever, I will quickly start typing what I'm listening to, and that doesn't work. Like I'll be like thinking about the client work, but I'll be like listening to NPR and then I'll be saying whatever NPR is saying. That's weird. So
that's interesting. Yeah. Super interesting.
Lydia says my go-to is New Girl on Netflix. Yeah, cool.
I've been watching so me and my friends have been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Amazing.
Like old school Buffy, and I have never seen the series. For all the people out there in the 90s know what I'm talking about. I've never seen the series. I don't know why I totally missed out on it, but I'm really loving it. So.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Absolutely loving it.
I wish I knew Buffy lore for you, but I don't. I missed that ship as well.
Well, it's never too late. Start right now. You can start after this live stream.
It's true. I could get probably a couple of seasons in by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting drop shadow on this. The in on it reminds me of the Netflix logo for some reason, like the old Netflix logo.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
So good.
Yeah, now it is kind of looking cinematic, isn't it? With the 9.
Yeah.
We'll go down this route and just see where it brings us.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny whenever you get those like random little cues in your head. You're like, oh wow, that's actually a thing, you know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I think that's why this process is so important of like just making logos and stuff, because you got to get whatever's in your head out. Sometimes even if you know that like this isn't going to work or whatever, sometimes you just got to get it out anyways, just to get it out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, totally. Oh, I know what I can do. Of course.
JDiv says, I'm heavily influenced by the mood of music. I made some magazine cover designs heavily based on 90s grunge, and I'd probably throw on some smooth jazz for this project. That's amazing.
That'd be good. I can go for some 90s grunge or like 90s rock, like 90s alt, like, you know, like that old school, like punk rock. I could do that. I could do that for sure. But then like I'd get so engrossed in like singing along and like, you know what I mean? Like being in that vibe, or like I'll just forget. This would be like a weird like singing dance-a-thon show where like nobody gets any work done, but it has a lot of fun, but like nothing happens.
It's funny because Steve's here all the time, and I feel like I could have guessed exactly what Steve listens to without asking him, but I love that it's confirmed now. Steve says that he needs I need instrumental jazz, wacky or groovy styles, no vocals, which is very on brand for Steve. It's amazing.
Nice. Just gonna go back and see what my actual sorry about that.
You're good.
What my actual sketch did or said or looked like, whatever. Copy, establish new one. Okay, perfect. Up to my old tricks with my combination types. But I think you know, I think that like having something that's a little bit lighter on the eyes just makes a good contrast, especially since we're doing or working with so many like Gothic fonts.
Yeah.
Gothic typefaces.
I appreciate that the typefaces you chose have the connecting crossbar for the Fs. That's always a fun little ligature that people build in. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think like also exploring ligatures could be really cool too. We haven't really done that today, but like it's something to think about too if you're watching this and you're like, you know, you want to find like more ways to explore the typefaces that you have to make them unique.
It's tough with coffee though, because you have the two Fs followed by the double E, and there's not a really good way of doing the double E. But the Fs and Es are so similar that if you did the crossbar from the F to the F, then it might feel weird that the E's don't connect.
Yeah. I hear you on that one for sure, for sure.
At least in the all caps version is what I meant.
Yeah. I hear you. 9 copy.
In case people are just tuning in right now, I know we're on like the final 20-ish minutes, but Sophia's working on her own personal 9-bar coffee designs. Done a bunch of exploration so far. It's off to a really great start.
Yep. Not too bad. Not too shabby. Sometimes when I'm working, I just forget how to spell.
Yeah, me too. Especially when you're in the logo phase and you're just constantly working in it, things start to look real wonky real fast, even though they're totally fine.
Yeah, it's like I just forget how to spell my own name. It's like whatever. All for the good of the logo process. Or for our show, I'll do my best to make sure that I get my spelling. Yeah, at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that when you're doing the final renditions, everything is is good to go. But sometimes when you're in this stage, you just got to play and, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It's looking good.
Thanks. Yeah, I like this combo. I mean, it feels like a movie theater vibe, but I don't know, it's something there. Again, like you just gotta like I said, you just gotta get it out. Sometimes you just gotta. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm looking at this, and right now it kind of feels like a billiards ball.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
And I just looked because I don't remember my billiard balls numbers, but it's a striped one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a thing down the line. But
yeah, maybe we can play with that.
It's like, who knows? Maybe it'll be a pool hall / coffee bar.
Maybe.
The cornerstone of any good community.
I wonder if I wonder if an idea. I wonder if we could do like something, not a dash line, but like border or something, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Melly has a good shout. They said that the inner and outer circle are not perfectly aligned. They don't think.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit off for sure. Oh
no.
Yeah, I've been saving it along the way, guys. So something happens. Okay, nothing happened. Woo. But I'll save this. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll go back to that a little later. But I was thinking like you can get like how Illustrator has like borders and like ornate kind of things. So like maybe we can create something so it kind of loses that circle, that hard circle, but we'll save that in the bucket for now and just try to get this out and see if we can get this out in time.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's the distribute.
I think it aligned it though.
Yeah, it did. You're right. You're good.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not like this. This goes to show you how my eagerness comes in. Like we talked about in the beginning, I'm not like the perfect person to like know about like or pays attention to like what they're actually supposed to do. I'll just like hit them, and like I'll just have a general idea, then I'll hit them, and then like just make it work.
That's fair. Yeah, the align and distribute tool is nice. Distribute essentially just takes 2 points and then finds the middle ground. Yeah. Whereas the align center and horizontal or left line or top line, whatever, will take those into consideration and match them.
Like when I'm trying to finalize something, I'll definitely pay attention. But sometimes when I'm in this mode, I'm just trying to like get out whatever I'm trying to do, and then like I won't be too perfect with it. I think for our live, I'm definitely feeling a lot more diligent because I want people to be able to like follow along. But yeah, that's the truth, you know.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like the idea of making it a pool ball one day. Maybe I'll just go home and do that myself after stream.
Maybe that's.
I've never made a pool bar or a pool hall logo.
Yeah.
Like my life won't be complete now without it.
I think that'll be a really interesting project idea. If someone went that route, I'd love to see it.
I'll have to queue that up in my back pocket unless somebody beats me to it. Terrazzo floors, green felt pool tables. Boom, done.
Does that actually? Oh, this is interesting. Does that actually? Or does places like that exist still? Like they probably do, right? Yeah, like those really like old school, like those old school ones. You know what I mean? Not just like a pub with a pool table in there, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like I was in one in Manhattan like 2 years ago. I don't know if it survived COVID or anything, but yeah, I've been to a couple random ones. Not with, like you said, with multiple tables and stuff, not just like a one in a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Val says there's one in her city.
I don't know if we have one in Vancouver. I'm sure that we probably do. I just haven't took the time to actually go and
haven't been on Yelp for pool halls in a while.
Yeah. Well, that's my next task after this.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That could be a day 2 assignment, just looking at pool halls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there could be a whole Adobe stream just about geeking out about how great design is in different fields and just scrolling through inspiration together.
Yeah, I mean, it's so worth to just take a look at the different kind of historical elements, and kind of like we did a little bit with this, just kind of going down that rabbit hole. You can spend a lot of time there. It's so interesting.
Chat's always reminding us to make sure that everything's saved.
Oh yes, I'll do that right now.
There you go, chat. See people getting the twitchy Control S fingers.
Yeah. I know that's super important. Yeah, I've been saving as we went along, but it's always good to know, especially when you do something like this, you can get so caught up and just forget. And then if it dies on you, and I've had that happen so many times.
Absolutely.
You just forget.
Yeah. Luckily, the what is I don't know the name of the feature. The restore file feature that Adobe has built into it is so helpful. It typically saves I don't remember. I think you can set your own preferences, but I've always loved it. It's saved me so many times if my computer's crashed, which it did twice on one Adobe stream. So that was
really
cool.
Oof, yeah. Yeah, I love that feature too. I think I have mine on every 3 minutes or something like that. It'll just auto save or something, every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think you can also adjust it depending on your computer's performance and things as well. So it's not running in the background all the time, but I love that. It's saved me so many times.
Oh, same here. Large project files, especially when you're adding illustrations, really big illustrations.
Yeah. What I like about having these little ornate pieces, like these arrows that you have in here, is that I can see them translating really well into wayfinding in the location. It might be if this coffee shop was in a hotel lobby, perhaps.
Yeah.
You need to show people, how do I get to the coffee shop? And then these arrows can easily guide people there, which is awesome.
Absolutely. And there's many, yeah, like you said, there's many ways you can expand upon it, which is really nice.
Yeah, I agree. So we have about 6 minutes left.
Okay, we can just finish this up a bit. I think that would be a good use of that 6 minutes. That sounds good.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, just kind of round this out a little bit, and then just kind of take a look at everything that we've made in that 2 hours, which I think has been pretty interesting. And then we will come back tomorrow to do the rest.
Oh, nice. Bringing that arch in.
Yeah, I thought with all that linear stuff, maybe a nice little would make it look interesting.
Yeah.
You can't, okay, yeah, I didn't think you could. Once you warp, you can't switch. Is that true? Or do you just double click on it?
Double click on it like that. You see that? You have
Yeah.
there you go. So you can even type on it and change it. It just will mess with the arch or the arc that you have in there.
I like the kind of like bold, but I don't know if it's going to work with whatever. We'll see. We'll see if it does. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, we can change it. Interesting.
Shauna says that she's working from her iPad, and I absolutely tried to Command Z from my keyboard onto the stroke in Fresco. So undo a stroke. That's funny.
Just gonna quickly save this, and then we'll kind of zoom out and see what's going on, and then maybe. So there's something there. I feel like, yeah.
Yeah,
there's something there. Again, like sometimes you look at something and it's like it's not. Again, like the process of making a logo takes a while. It can take a little while, but you want to kind of take a closer look at the things that you feel are kind of getting there. And I feel like this is kind of getting there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah.
I'd probably push it up a little closer to it. I think it's feeling a little lone down there. There you go.
Yeah. What do you think about the bold? I actually something about the bold I really like. I'm not quite sure what. I'll show you.
Yeah, maybe it feels like it ties the top type as well to the bottom one a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. And maybe we'll move this grocer.
What I think you might be able to do is you have some of those like ornate badges. Maybe there's
something you can put in here.
Yeah, almost like if you were to do like a back plate for the established in 2021, but then did the type in white. So you have like a black little like arrowhead maybe or something like that. That kind of is where the established sits.
Yeah,
there might be a shape in one of your things that you have.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's make a copy of this and give it a shot. We have some minutes. We can play with that. Sure. Whoops.
Yeah.
Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, so let's take a look at the shapes that we got. Like maybe one of these, eh?
Yeah, or like parts of the one next to it. So like that, like
or this
so
one?
hard. Yeah, like parts of that I think are nice. You definitely don't have enough time to do that right now, but I think there might be like a tag like that.
Yeah.
Maybe just take the shape from the one on the right and then just plop it in there really quick as a solid.
This one here, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just see kind of like where we can play with it.
For sure. So if you were to like take the inside shape, or is it all solid? No. Okay, good.
No. So we just get some of that, and then this might just be a path.
So if you just double click into it, you should be able to get the inside path from the compound mask. There you go. And then just copy paste that. So Command C and then just pull it out. And then.
Oh, perfect.
So you're still in that one layer mask though. So you'd want to take that out. Yeah, there you go.
Get out and then put that there.
There you go.
Put that here. And then make this.
So I think we're at a good spot for you to kind of run us through where the iterations that you've done over the day, and then kind of set us up for what everybody should be excited about for tomorrow as well.
Awesome. Okay, so this is kind of what we've done today. So let's see if I get this. So we really looked at a couple of different ideas and ways to kind of create badges for this new cafe, and even additional sort of elements as well. So tomorrow I want to refine and get a closer look at what this logo is actually going to come with or look at, and maybe even sharpen up a few of these, maybe sharpen up maybe 1 or 2 sketches. And once we do that, we can finalize a color palette. Now I think everybody was really heading towards this red. I do quite like it, so I'm thinking that this might be the winner for our palette, and then we'll be able to see how these elements can take shape as the brand identity unfolds over a few digital assets like shop windows, packaging, and other elements like that, and really try to see how this brand is going to take shape for this new coffee bar.
Yeah, I love that. And people can find you on behance.net/monograph.co, and your website is
Monograph&Co.com.
perfect. And your Instagram?
You can find me on Instagram at Sophia Ahamed. It's spelled exactly how it is in this live stream. And from there, you can reach more links to my work and other things as well.
Perfect. Well, stick around, everybody, because we have way more content coming up, but definitely come back tomorrow and check us out 12 p.m. PST, and we'll have day 2. So we'll wrap everything up really nicely. But thank you so much, Sophia. I learned a lot. I know Chat did. We had a great time.
Awesome.
And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.